Okay, so today's session is going to be on basics. Basic means that what exactly cloud is all about, how you can start your journey, and why enterprises are actually interested into this particular technology. Irrespective of your background, whether you are a developer, whether you are an administrator, whether you are a trainer. The background is not prerequisite for this particular session. We will just try to go through this technology. What are the, how this started, and how you can start, your journey into this particular technology. So let's start this. Okay, so this is the slide where we will be discussing the enterprise IT, the traditional world. I mean, which used to happen in prior to cloud, come into the picture. So you used to have your PC laptop, where provided by your organization or maybe your home computer, and then you used to connect to a data center, which is the server infrastructure of your company, and those data center will host some application, some custom applications, some packaged applications. So packaged applications means that Exchange or Active Directory, or something which comes from a vendor, and you just implement it as it is. And then there are some custom application used to happen which you host, like your own company website, or some HR application maybe, or financial application maybe, which your data center is hosting. And then this is the architecture of overall architecture of traditional IT we used to have, and we are still having in those legacy environment. But when cloud came, there is a change in the organization. So you have, instead of only PC laptop, now you have tablets as well, you have phones as well, which you will be using to connect to your organization infrastructure. And then instead of just data center, now you have software as a service application. So on premises packaged application are becoming software as a service application. What we mean by that is, earlier, if you talk about email services, earlier you used to have Exchange. So you used to have Exchange, Microsoft Exchange, which your organization will install within your company infrastructure on on the server hosted by the company itself, and then you will use the email infrastructure. But now, since Office 365, which is the Microsoft offering for email collaboration, or maybe Google Apps, which is from Google, Google has actually converted their email, the free email service, into a business offering which they call Google Apps, where you will have all the what you get with the free services like Gmail and calendar and documents and all those things as a business application. So you will be able to use your own domain name with the Gmail interface itself. So those are software as a service application. You are not hosting those applications, they are coming from a vendor, but you are just using it, so you don't have to host it. But then you have some application, some custom application, maybe of application which your company has developed. For that, instead of your data center, you are utilizing public cloud platform. So public cloud platform are the new foundation. So earlier it used to have the data center, you will buy a server hardware, you will buy server operating system, and then you will host your your custom application on that particular server. But now, since cloud platform has came into the picture, all those application, instead of buying the hardware, you will take a cloud like Azure, which is from Microsoft, or maybe Google Cloud, or maybe AWS Cloud. There are multiple vendors, and they have service model to give you multiple solutions. So you can have any one of them. You can select any one of them to host your application instead of buying server or server application, server operating system. So that's how this paradigm is changing. So earlier there was a different picture. If we go back to the slide, and now this paradigm is where we are discussing about. So how this particular thing works, that's what we are about to talk. How you can position yourself as a administrator, or as a developer, or maybe as an architect, or maybe someone who just want to know what are the changes IT is going through. So you will be able to see where you fit, how you can transform your organization, or how you can transform your learning curve as well. So let's go to the next slide. So cloud platform technology. So let's go back to the simple summary. That means that here I have tried to give three sections. That one, compute, data, and everything else. So here what we are talking about is cloud gives you three types of things, three types of services. One is compute. So compute is replacing your server. So compute means where you will need a CPU, where you will need a virtual machine, where you will need a server. Those things, compute, those things cloud provides. Apart from that, cloud also provide you place to hold your data, like SQL server, or maybe blob storage. So one thing you need for your application is compute. The other thing you need for application is data. And there is one new thing which is coming with this new IT transition, that is everything else. So what does this mean? So everything else will contain data analytics, will contain machine learning, will contain robotics, will contain IoT, will contain identity, and Dockers, and many things. So traditional way of thinking is, for any application you will need two things. One is compute, the other one is data. Now, since we are into the change of your IT system, then you will need some other things as well. So cloud will give you those other things as well, like resources for your machine learning, resources for your IoT devices, resources for your data analytics, resources for your Dockers images, so things like that. And it is keep on growing. So every day a new thing is coming, and cloud is able to pick it very early. Earlier it was very difficult for an enterprise to pick the latest technology, but just because of cloud, now things are something has been innovated a few months back, and then Azure is able to, or AWS is able to host it on their platform, and they are able to give you an enterprise solution for that. So that's how cloud is helping you to transition to the latest technology very easily. And that's the three section you will any service or any resource in cloud, you will be able to categorize it in any one of these three sections, whether it will be a compute resource, whether it will be a data resource, like if it is a database, if it is if it is some file, then it is data. If it is a CPU use, if it is something doing something, some execution is happening, then it is compute resource. And apart from it, everything else is the new thing which is coming. We will talk about what we call those new things, and that's okay. So when we talk about cloud services, all the cloud services across industry, whether you talk about AWS, whether you talk about Azure, or any cloud service, they work in these four models. Three models actually. The first one we see here on premises is something traditional. So it was traditional, that was happening. Everything you used to have, as you can see in the blue, that everything you will manage, application, starting from application to the networking, everything you will be managing. And that was the legacy model of handling your IT. Now from the infrastructure as a service, it started from cloud. So any cloud provider will have three offerings. They will categorize any resource, anything they provide you, they will categorize it in either of three things, whether it is an infrastructure as a service, whether it is a platform as a service, or whether it is a software as a service. On premises is already kind of going away. So in infrastructure as a service, what you get is, starting from the bottom, networking, storage, server, and virtualization. These three things. So in nutshell, the hardware will be managed by the vendor, which is Azure in case of Microsoft Azure, AWS if it is coming from Amazon, Rackspace if it is coming from Rackspace, if it is coming from Google, then it is Google. If it is Google Cloud, then it is Google, or DigitalOcean, another cloud vendor. So whosoever is your vendor will be handling these bottom four stacks. That's virtualization, server, storage, and networking. In nutshell, you can just think about the hardware. So they will be managing the hardware, and apart from it, your OS, what OS you want, whether it will be Windows, whether it will be Unix, whether it will be CentOS, whether it will be Red Hat, whatever the OS you need, depending upon your requirement, you will have to take care of that. You will have to patch it, or you will have to update it. In infrastructure as a service model, Azure will not take care of those operating system stuffs. Then middleware means that the application servers like IaaS, or maybe Tomcat Apache, or maybe those application will be responsible for kind of helping you to host your application. So suppose you are hosting a web application on your server. So first you will have to figure it out what operating system you need. So if it is probably ASP.NET application, then you might be needing a Windows operating system, and on top of it you might need a IaaS server. So IaaS is the middleware over here. And then runtime. So if it is a .NET application, then .NET framework is your runtime. You will need that, and you will have to install it. You will have to take care of it, what version of .NET framework you need. If there is any update, you will have to update it. Microsoft or Azure or AWS will not take care of that thing. Then data, if your application is using some data like a SQL database, or maybe Oracle database, or anything related to data, that is also your responsibility. And then application, yes, since you are hosting your application, that is your website, the .NET website, that is you have to take care of it. So that is infrastructure as a service. So till virtualization, so till server, till I would say till hardware, they will take care of it. They will just give you an empty box, okay, and you can install any operating system, and from there till your application hosting. Then comes the platform as a service. Now as you can see in the picture, in platform as a service, vendor takes care of little bit more. They will take care of operating system, they will take care of middleware, they will take care of runtime. So if you are asking a cloud vendor that, okay, I need to host a .NET application, but I don't want to manage operating system, I don't want to manage the IaaS server, I don't want to manage the .NET framework, then you will go to the platform as a service. In platform as a service, they will give you a space where you don't have to take care till the runtime. You will just have to give them the data, that is your SQL server, and your application code. They will, apart from it, whatever the things they need, they will take care of it. They know how to take care of all these things. So that categorizes platform as a service. So any service you will get, that will fall into any one of these stack, whether it will be an infrastructure as a service, whether it will be a platform as a service, and the last one is software as a service. So depending upon the capability, depending upon the control you have, you will say, okay, I am getting this particular thing, platform as a service or infrastructure as a service. Now let's go to the software as a service. In software as a service, you can see that everything is being managed by the vendor itself. You don't have to take care of anything. Now what do we mean by, if we don't have to take care, then why we are needing that particular thing? So let's get the example over here. So example of software as a service would be like, as we said in the initial discussion, that Office 365 or Google Apps. There you don't take care of anything. You don't have to even take care of data. You just create an account. You don't have to tell where this account will be created. They have the database in place. They have the application in the place. You just have to create account. You are ready to send your email. So software as a service means you are getting the complete software. You just have to use it. So that's that's the last model of any cloud service. Okay, now let's go to the other slide. Okay, so here we have explained infrastructure as service in detail. So here, as you can see, in infrastructure as service, we can create a virtual machine, right? And it can be Windows, it can be Linux, depending upon your requirement, right? And then there is another term which is new right now, that is container as a service. So we have not discussed that in our previous slide in software as a service. So container as a service falls into the platform as a service model. It is a kind of platform as a service, but lot of cloud vendors are actually kind of categorizing it as a separate offering, because this is becoming a lot more it is actually kind of attracting so many industry people to host their application into the container. We will talk about what is container is. We can have a different session over there, but container is like small virtual machine you can think of. So in each virtual machine there will be tiny virtual machine which will be hosting your application. So cloud vendors are providing you container as a service as well. So you don't have to create a VM, you don't have to create a container. They will give you the container, you just host your application into that container. Now let's go to the other platform as service. So in platform as service, as we said, that VM and VM and supporting services, that is runtime, will be taken care. You will just take care of that application part, and the rest of the things. Now this is function as a service is again something new which is coming with the serverless architecture. This is very new to this cloud infrastructure. Now what serverless means, let's go back to our previous slide where I have discussed these stacks. So serverless comes somewhere in the software as a service, or many cloud vendors are actually categorizing it again a different service altogether. What serverless means, I will tell you in a nutshell, that in serverless there are functions. You create a function, they are hosted on a VM, and cloud vendor will not charge you for that VM. They will not charge you for the compute resources your function is using, but they will charge you depending upon execution. So as soon as you will invoke that function, and when that function will run, that will utilizes some compute on the cloud vendor side, and then only you will be charged. So that's why this is called serverless. So you don't have to take care of server all the time. You will only worry when your execution is happening. Apart from it, in traditional world, you have to have a VM ready all the time, whether your application is getting requested or not. But in serverless architecture, your application is the cloud vendor is managing everything, and as soon as some user is requesting some information from your application, and as soon as your application is executing something, then only you will be charged. You will not be charged for hosting that application. That's what serverless computing is. Again, this is something new in the industry, and many cloud vendors have started this service model as well. So they are Azure has a function as a service. So function, Azure function they call, in other cloud platform as well, they have different different service names, alternative for that. We will go through detail of it. Okay, now data services, that means there are three types of data you might be managing. One is object storage. So what is object storage? Is data which is binary. So you might have a image file, you might have a zip file, you need to store, that is also a data. You might have a exe file which you want to host. So those kind of storage is called object storage. So cloud vendors are giving you the space to host those kind of storage. Now the other one is relational. It is very much familiar name, that is SQL databases are the mostly used data which is relational. So you have SQL as a offering from cloud vendors as well, and then we have NoSQL, so non-relational databases. So cloud vendors are offering services which can host NoSQL type data as well. So let's go to the details of different cloud vendors we have, and what are the names of those resources which can be categorized as infrastructure as a service and container as a service or platform as a service. Let's go to the these are the four vendors I have tried to cover. Microsoft Azure is something I work a lot, so I have lot of I would say exposure into that. I also try to cover Amazon Web Service, which is another famous cloud vendor, Google platform, which is just starting up, and then Salesforce is another cloud web platform which gives you cloud resources. Let's go to the Microsoft Azure first. So Microsoft Azure gives you infrastructure as a service. In infrastructure as a service, you get virtual machine. So virtual machine is just like VMs you create in VMware or on premises vSphere or other cloud other application. So Microsoft Azure give you the same kind of technology, that where you can create your virtual machine, install operating system, host your application or install your application, all those things, and they call it virtual machine. And then in container as a service, they call Azure Container Service, ACS. So if you want to create a container, you will create a ACS, and then probably if you are familiar with the container industry, I would say the technology, then you will go through it, where what kind of container you need, whether you need a Kubernetes cluster, whether you need a Docker Swarm, or those things come when you go in deep details into it. But Azure has that offering, you can utilize that. And then in platform as service, Azure gives Azure Service Fabric, App Service. So App Service is something which you can use simply for hosting your web application. And then Service Fabric is again another kind of Docker service which Microsoft Azure provides. Again, these all things are very much detailed topic. So here we are just talking about what are the things cloud is giving you. If we talk about infrastructure as service, or if we talk about platform as service, but if you want to go deep details into it, you have to go through each of the things, because everything, like if I talk about virtual machine, then in virtual machine itself, it's a very vast topic. What are the options you have, what kind of virtual machine you can create, and then what are the different architecture pattern you can have to host your multiple virtual machines and things like that. And then we have function. So function as a service, which Azure calls Azure Function. Then in data, for object storage you have blobs, and then for relational you have SQL database, and then for NoSQL you have Cosmos DB and other offerings as well. So that's how Microsoft Azure stack for these few basic service is available. There are so many other services as well, but these are the few of the basic one which you can start with. and then you can go deep inside how what kind of networking available with Azure, what kind of load balancing stuff you have with Azure, you have identity management with Azure. So those things, I mean, there are so many other things Azure provides, but these are the basic thing you can start with. And then we have so in virtual machine you can have Windows and Linux as well. Now let's go to the now why people are coming into this particular framework. As I said that earlier, it used to happen that you used to have a legacy model where you used to have a data center, you will be hosting your application, and then that's it. But now why you need to move into cloud? So this particular picture will explain you a lot. Now earlier what used to happen that you had a customer and you are the vendor. Suppose you are the software development company, you are developing the application and then you are giving that application to a customer, and you are getting a license fee for that application. We used to have that, right? I mean, we used to buy key for operating system and other stuff. So that particular model was getting threatened by the open source. So what was happening that if you are an application development company and you develop an application for suppose finance, like calculating income tax or maybe any other thing. Now what was happening that since you have just created an application, customer still has to pay for the server to host it. So they will buy your application, but the application itself is not helping them. They have to invest more to host it in their environment, and then they have to pay twice. So they have to pay you for the license fee, and then they have to pay for the hardware and other operating system resources they are hosting in their environment. And then only open source software, so someone from open source community came into the picture and they said, okay, you don't have to pay the license for us, okay, we are giving you for free. So then only you got threatened, because you are developing your application and someone is giving the same application for free. So any customer will go for that free stuff, because they have to overall cost is reducing, because they only have to take care of the hosting stuff. Now they don't have to pay for the license fee. But now there is a different model for software applications, which is you are the vendor and you are hosting your application. You are not giving it to someone for the license fee. You are hosting it in a cloud, and then you are giving access to that cloud to a customer as a service. So what is happening, like suppose you can see that right now you have joined our session using Skype for Business. You have not installed Skype for Business server in your environment. I have not installed it in our environment. Microsoft has installed it. Microsoft has given me a user account to create a conference call. I have created the conference call and I can host that conference call, and I don't have to worry about any other thing, right? So here I am getting this service, but I don't have to take care of hosting stuff. And vendor, which is Microsoft right now, is hosting that application, and I just have to pay monthly, right? I just have to pay, here I don't have to pay monthly, I have to pay annually charges. But just you can consider it for any other service you are paying for. Like you might be paying for a cloud solution hosted in cloud for calculating the income tax, suppose. So you are just going there, creating your account, calculating your income tax, extracting that information and using it. You don't have to host a server for that, and you don't have to pay a license fee for that application developer, right? So that's how this model is changing, and that's why cloud is coming into the picture. So let's see how Microsoft started their cloud journey. They started is using platform as a service. So they initially started, extensively. They started with Office 365. So the Azure cloud was not famous initially, but the Office 365 was famous a lot. So Azure, started their journey with platform as a service, and they already, they already have a strong footprint in the industry because of their operating system. Most of the companies are using workstation having Windows operating system only. So they started giving that Office 365 offering as a software as a service to their clients, and that's how the Microsoft journey to the cloud started, and that's how most of the organization journey also started with Azure. And then Microsoft supports hybrid cloud scenario as well. So what is hybrid cloud? Hybrid cloud is like, I am hosting some application in Azure and some other application in AWS and some application on premises. On premises means in my company itself. I'm not hosting it on any cloud. So those kind of scenario Azure is supporting, and Azure has its own private cloud actually, which you can install on premises, which is they call Azure Stack, right? So, and then let's see what is hybrid cloud actually. So hybrid cloud looks like this. Let me show you this. So this is the complete picture of hybrid cloud. So you have public cloud on the top, you have on premises in the bottom, and you have a shared space where both can talk to each other. So public cloud you can imagine as Azure, as AWS. All these are public cloud. They are publicly available. Anyone can go ahead and create an account. Anyone can go ahead and create service over there, pay for it and start using it. And then you have a on-premises infrastructure where you will install your server, you will install your application, you will install your everything, and then you want to have a scenario where both can, the public hosted application and your private hosted application both can talk to each other. So this is something we call hybrid scenario, and that is what we call hybrid cloud. So, and then we in the extreme left you can see consistent management and security. So once you have that connectivity, you would need a management point as well from where you can control both of these things. So you should have a portal, you should have a something from where you can turn off on-premises machine, turn off public cloud machine, disconnect a database from public cloud, disconnect a database from on-premises, can see the error logs. So that particular capability should be there in your hybrid cloud. And then you should have a consistent identity. So what is consistent identity is? So identity is like user account. So if you have a user account which you can which public cloud can recognize, right, but your private infrastructure is not able to recognize, then it will not be very much beneficial, because you will have to manage two user account for two different infrastructure. So you have a user account for your on-premises machine, and then you have a user account for public cloud machines. But that is not the scenario in hybrid cloud. In hybrid cloud you should have a consistent identity. That means one user account you should be able to access both the infrastructure using the same account. And in my Azure they call it Azure Active Directory, and on premises they called Active Directory. So that's how the hybrid cloud scenario looks like. Now let's go, we have talked about the Microsoft offering about all these things like infrastructure as a service, container as a service, platform as a service, function as a service, and what are the options they have and how their hybrid cloud works. Then we have Amazon Web Service, which is again another leader in providing public cloud. And what are the options they have in infrastructure as a service? They call it EC2. So EC2 is nothing like it is just a virtual machine. So you have virtual machine, you have container service, you have been stuck, that is what platform as service. You can host your application, you don't have to take care of operating system, you don't have to take care of runtime and other things. They have Lambda as functions, just like Azure function, they have Lambda. So serverless architecture, that is. Then in data they have simple storage, then relational databases, and then so you can see that every other cloud is offering something, which is, I mean, they have, each one of them have alternative. It's just that name is different. Some of the things might be different, some of the things might be similar, but they have offering in each scenario, right? If Microsoft Azure calls it virtual machine, Amazon calls it EC2 instance. So they both will give you the option to create whether Windows virtual machine or Linux virtual machine, but it's just the offering, and it's just your organization which one you want to go with, whether you want to go with the Microsoft, whether you want to go with the Amazon. Both have offerings in all of the categories. Some of the categories are not offered by different vendors, so it might happen like some of the things are not offered by Microsoft, or some of the things are not offered by Amazon, and which is the true case in terms of Salesforce. We will go through it when we will go through Salesforce offering. You will see that there are few things which Salesforce do not provide. So let's see the Amazon assessment. So Amazon is like, it started as infrastructure as a service leader, and just like as I said, in Microsoft case, they started from platform as service, like Office 365 offering, SharePoint Online offering. But in Amazon case, they started with EC2 instance. So instead of going through the platform as service, they started with infrastructure as service, and then they are into multiple industry now. They are not only the IT industry, they are into multiple things. We will talk about what are the things they are into, and then they are see, the retailers, technology company, and other things as well. They are they have a e-commerce website, they have a online media company, and other things, and then focused on public cloud. So in case of Azure, we saw that they support hybrid cloud scenario. So they support you to have something on your on-premise, something in different cloud, and something in Azure itself. But Amazon kind of encourage you to put everything in public cloud, because they do not have so much integration with the other on-premise infrastructure. So that is where Amazon and Azure differentiate. So Azure gives you a dedicated Azure stack, what they call on-premises, and they have a complete integration with all these resources, like as I said, Azure Active Directory for identity. So you will have a single identity, single username to handle all the resources, whether it is Azure stack, which is on premises, or whether it is Azure, which is public cloud. But in case of Amazon, they will say have it in public cloud only. So now they see Amazon has different workspace, like they are into retail, and they are cloud platform, they are video streaming, they are devices, they are Whole Foods, so they are not dedicatedly a IT company, they are not dedicatedly into the cloud only. They have different offerings as well, and then in different offerings they have different competitors. So in Amazon.com they have different competitors, in cloud they have different competitors, in video streaming they have different competitors, in Amazon devices they have different competitors, all these things. So Amazon is not only cloud company. So when you are coming to when you are picking the cloud, you will be you will have to see how much focus they have on different aspect of cloud, like whether they are giving you full-fledged platform as a service, whether they are giving you full-fledged infrastructure as a service, whether they are giving you full-fledged container as a service things or not, right? And then we have Google Cloud Platform. So in infrastructure service option, they have compute engine, then they have container engine, then they have, just the name is different. They have a little bit of working will also be different, but they have offering. That is what it means. And in the data as well, they have cloud storage, they have cloud SQL, they have cloud data store. I mean, all these things you can relate it with. I mean, if you are familiar with any one of the cloud, then it will be very easy to relate with the other cloud vendor. You just have to take care of the category they belong to. So suppose you are from Microsoft Azure, and if you are familiar with virtual machine, then you just have to go to the Google Cloud and tell what is your alternative for virtual machine. They will tell you it is compute engine, and then you can go through what are the options you have in the compute engine, and then differentiate it with the Microsoft Azure different offering, and then you can decide upon whether you want to have it in your Google Cloud or whether you want to have it in your Microsoft Azure, right? And then we have so Google assessment is good. So Google Cloud started just, I mean, it has not been very much long journey for Google. They just started now. So where Amazon and Microsoft are fully matured public cloud, Google is kind of starting right now, but they are serious. They are kind of developing lot of solutions based on cloud, and they are offering their offering has been updated on very good frequency. So they are catching up. They are not as much mature as Amazon or Microsoft can be considered, but yes, they are picking it up very fast. And then they are also focused on public cloud. They are also asking you to have it everything on public cloud. They do not have anything like Azure Stack. So Azure Stack is on premises cloud, you can say on premises cloud architecture. So Microsoft is only differentiator who will give you hybrid scenario. In case of Amazon, in case of Google Cloud, they are not giving you hybrid scenario. They are giving you all public cloud solutions. And then they have, if you are talking about data analytics, which is very much famous right now. So in data analytics, all of these clouds have different offering. They name it differently. SD Insight is in Microsoft Azure. In machine learning, they have Azure Machine Learning. In data warehouse, they have SQL Data Warehouse or Data Lake they call. And then data visualization, they give Power BI as a solution. So these are the service names. So if you want to have a data visualization, you will create a Power BI. If you want to have a data warehouse, then you will create a SQL Data Warehouse, and if you will search it over there in the Azure portal, you will get all these options. So just like that, you have different options from Amazon as well, and then in Google Cloud as well. Now we do not have force.com over here, and that will be clear in the next slide where we will discuss. So force.com is primarily a CRM, so cloud based CRM application vendor, which gives only two kind of things. One is platform as service, which they call force.com, and they have database, a different kind of database, they known as force.com database. Apart from it, they are not giving you infrastructure as a service, they are not giving you container as a service, they are not giving you function as a service, they are not giving you any other thing than force.com database. I mean, they do not have a relational database, they do not have an object storage. So if you are talking about salesforce.com, then only thing they have is CRM. So CRM, if you are into the CRM technology, then probably you will go to the Salesforce because they are the leader into it. Apart from it, these are the three, I mean the above three, Microsoft Azure, Amazon or Google is the one who is kind of giving you full-fledged service options. Any question you have? Anyone has any question till now? Let me unmute everyone. Everyone is unmute. You can unmute yourself. Yeah, I'm unmuting everyone just to if anyone has any question. Okay, so Salesforce assessment is quite simple. They since they are only into the CRM. They are,
Hello.
yep. Yeah, who is this? Okay, so Salesforce is into the CRM. They call it force.com, and then some apps can be built with the click on tool. So Salesforce is kind of you can say that salesforce.com application what they call, and then they have APIs to create application. They have a language for that, Apex language they call. Using Apex language you can create your application for Salesforce only. So Salesforce is a CRM based cloud offering, and it does not have any other thing apart from CRM what they have, like platform as service or infrastructure as service. I mean, platform as service, that is again CRM only, and apart from it they do not have container as service. They do not have any other databases than force.com database. And then we have IBM, one of another leader who started their cloud initiative. IBM cloud is known as Bluemix cloud, and but industry, I mean, not many people have shown their interest, kind of that, and not many people actually use it. I mean, till now it is still kind of experimenting. Their only cloud offering which is very much famous, I would say, is data analytics or machine learning and AI, which is Watson API they call for AI. That is very much popular among AI developers, and that is again a cloud offering. But apart from it, they do not have very much mature framework for platform as service or infrastructure service. They have offerings, but that is not very much not seem very serious, or they have not created any traction among customers who can go ahead and pick those offerings as an enterprise solution. And then they have bought software was half hoster half cloud provider. Again, it was not very much clear from their end, that I mean, how they are going to proceed, how they are offering in different categories like platform as service or infrastructure as service and things like that. Then since IBM is still kind of maturing, so and they have all. I mean, we already have Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, who are kind of who has matured platform. They, I mean, where customer are transitioning very fast. So IBM has kind of a big challenge, how they will kind of give differentiator values for their customer. So IBM, I mean, this is just a assessment where, I mean, how different cloud vendors are giving you and how you can start. I mean, how which one you should pick. So obviously I am from Azure background. I have a better understanding about Azure, but still I have tried my best to pick other clouds as well, and try to compare it with the major drawbacks or major selling points from each one. And then we have VMware as well. So VMware started with vSphere, which is private cloud, and then they started with vCloud Air, and then it has been sold, and now they have been started hosting it over AWS. So AWS is their hoster. So VMware is kind of providing their cloud on top of AWS. That's what, I mean, VMware is into. Then again, so if you compare it with Google, if you will compare it with the Microsoft, if you will compare it with AWS, I mean, VMware is kind of section of, VMware is giving you section of those offerings, because as you say, VMware is already using AWS infrastructure. So why would someone will go to VMware to pick something on AWS? Why would not they go to the parent company and pick the AWS itself? So that's how the complexity comes into the picture if you want VMware. So VMware, people are still stuck to VMware because they have a very strong hold in on-premises infrastructure. But as far as cloud is concerned, it is kind of not very much likely like that actually. And then we have hybrid, as we already talked about hybrid scenario. In this we will talk, we will tell the same thing actually. So we will compare the hybrid cloud scenario for each one. So for Microsoft, as you can see, in each of this section you can see that Microsoft has some offering which will help you to achieve that. So if we talk about the consistent management, then Azure has security center, Azure has Azure backup, log analytics, which will work across cloud. So whether you are public cloud, whether you are on premises, so your Azure offering for Azure security will be able to integrate it with both of the things. On the same line, you have Azure Stack, which you can use for on-premises hosting. You have Azure SQL database, which you can have in Azure, and then you have SQL Server, which you can host on-premises, and then they both can talk to each other. And on the same line, you have consistent identity, as I said. So you have Azure Active Directory on the cloud side, and then you have Active Directory on the on-premises side, and then both can actually sync with each other and will give you a kind of seamless experience. You don't have to do different thing for public cloud and different thing for on premises. That's what I mean this particular slide meant for. So I mean in hybrid cloud scenario, Microsoft has say in each of the sections you will have to worry about. But when we talk about other provider, which is VMware, so VMware has only one thing, which is called VMware on AWS. So they are only giving you compute. They don't have any database offering. They don't have any identity offering. They don't have any monitoring offering. So you will have to go to other vendors, for monitoring. You will have to go to other vendors for identity management. You will have to go for other vendors for database, database stuff. So if you are picking up VMware, then you will have only one section of it. Apart from it, your hybrid cloud will need some other vendors as well. And then if we go to the okay, now we talk about the public cloud, the strength. So here again, Microsoft has a strong point. How Microsoft has a strong point? As far as we have talked about, cloud strength. So you can see that Google has a good cloud strength, Amazon also has a good cloud strength, and Microsoft is kind of picking that cloud strength with these two companies. But as far as enterprise strength is concerned, then Microsoft has a very much differentiator there, because Microsoft has a very good footprints in all the enterprise environments, whereas for Google and Amazon it is quite new era. I mean Amazon and Google cloud can be a very good thing for small enterprises, but where there is an enterprise, you have lakhs of users having Windows desktop, and then you want to have your workloads hosted in cloud, then Microsoft has insight about that kind of architecture. However, for Google and Amazon, it is kind of different thing as far as enterprise strength is concerned. But then if you talk about VMware and IBM, they have that outlook, they have that kind of enterprise strength, but then they are lacking that on cloud strength, because their cloud is not that much mature what Google, Amazon are, and Microsoft is being into. So Microsoft falls in between these two things. So Microsoft has an upper edge on enterprise strength, as well as they have a upper strength on cloud strength as well. I mean, they are competing with the with the leaders in the cloud, as well as they are competing with the leaders in the enterprise architecture as well, as you can see, IBM or VMware. So that's what the summary is here. Now, IT today, as we talked on the first slide, that your client will have a computer, and that will talk to a public cloud platform which will be hosting some custom application, or maybe you will be using a software as a service application, application like Office 365 or other application. But then in public cloud platform, you will need infrastructure as service, you will need NoSQL, you will need platform as service, you will need objects, ML, SQL, and other things. In the same way, you will need in software as service application, you will need email, collaboration, CRM, and other things. And then on the client side, you will need PC, laptop, tablet, and phones. Now we will compare the different clouds on these pictures. I mean, how Azure is solving this thing, how other cloud vendors are solving this thing. If we go to the Microsoft way, you will see that if we start from the client, you have a option in Microsoft. From Microsoft, Microsoft gives you Windows 10 on PC, on laptop, on tablet. So Microsoft gives you interface which you can give to your client side, your employee who is actually going to talk to the cloud. In cloud, they have Microsoft Azure, which is having full-fledged platform as a service, full-fledged infrastructure as a service, full-fledged data offerings like CosmoDB or SQL databases or blobs and all those things. And then in the software as a service, they have Exchange Online, which is Office 365. Then they have SharePoint Online. They have Dynamics 365, which is again a online CRM application from Microsoft. So this is how Microsoft solves your complete architecture, right? And when we go to the next cloud vendor, which is Amazon, so Amazon will give you Amazon Web Service, which is kind of having almost all the things. They do not have any offering for identity management, but all of the major things like platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, they are giving. They have software as a service, only one thing, which is Workmail. Apart from it, they do not have any dedicated offering for CRM, any dedicated offering for productivity, collaboration, and all those things like SharePoint or Skype for business or something like that. And then on the client side, they do not have anything apart from Kindle Fire. So the only device or operating system for clients or the employee whom you can give is Kindle Fire. Apart from it, they do not have anything in the PC laptop section. They do not have anything in the phone section. So that's how few of the things are missing for Amazon. And as I showed you on the graph side, that it is very much likely because Amazon has not been into enterprise way. So Microsoft has been into that enterprise way of providing solutions. So they already had few of the things earlier, and they just have to pick on the new things like cloud, cloud services or software as a service application. So that's how you can compare the different cloud. And then on the Google Cloud platform, they have they are very much similar to Amazon as far as Google Cloud public cloud is concerned. But on the software as service applications, they have Gmail, right? As we talked about Google Apps, they have Google Docs, but they do not have anything like collaboration or CRM as a business application. They have few free application like Hangout, which you can use for collaboration, but then it is not a business application which can be utilized by the enterprise organizations. And on the client side, yes, they have been able to pick different stacks, like they have Chromebooks, they have Android phone, they have Android tablet. So again, here as well, and as I said, Google is something who is picking up now. So, and they are picking up very fast. So it might be a scenario that in coming days or in coming years, Google will be one of the competitor for Azure and as well as Amazon as well. Right now they are competing, but since they are new into this, they still have to do lot of things as far as including different categories of application. Now, if we compare it with Salesforce, they have very much little in the public cloud offering. They only give app logic, identity, and database. Apart from it, they do not have infrastructure as a service. They do not have any other database other than force.com database. They do not have machine learning. They do not have IoT devices and other things. And then if we talk about software as a service application, they only have CRM application, and on client side they do not have anything. So as I said, Salesforce.com is one of the famous cloud provider, but for what? For CRM application. They are not the replacement for Azure or Amazon or Google Cloud for the if you say. And then in IBM side, you have software, which is Bluemix is the their platform as a service offering. They have virtual server, they have cloud end databases, but they are lacking so many other things. And considering IBM is a enterprise, as we saw on the previous slide on the enterprise strength, IBM is much more have enterprise strength, but they do not have comparative offerings what Microsoft Azure provides or what AWS is providing and what even Google is providing. In software as a service application, they do not have much offerings, and in client application as well, client side offerings, they do not have anything to offer to the enterprise as well. So and then VMware is again, they are only into the infrastructure as a service offering, and they are also here because they have a very strong footprint in the on-premises infrastructure, and they are only targeting there only. They are not competing, I would say. They are not a replacement for Azure, Amazon or Google, at least for now. In software as a service, they do not have any offering. On the client side as well, they do not have any offering. So conclusion is, so what we are trying to do here is that, after knowing the basic service model, that platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, and the new terms like container as a service and other things, you will go through these 3 or 4 famous cloud: Azure, AWS or IBM or VMware. So Azure, AWS and Google are the 3 main contenders, I would say, who are kind of giving a serious competition to each other, depending upon the offerings and the requirement you have. So this is the nutshell, and this is the starting point. From here, depending upon your choice, if you are into if you like the Microsoft Azure, you can start with Azure. If you like the AWS, then you can start with AWS, or if you want to go with the Google because they are new, and in upcoming time Google is a good name, it might provide something which even Microsoft is not providing or AWS is not providing, then you might pick the Google as well. So depending upon that interest, from here you should be able to at least decide upon which one cloud platform you would like to have. These are the major cloud platform, and these are the major differentiator factors you can have in your mind when you are actually comparing each one. And some of the resources we have to start with. For Azure, Microsoft has a very good I would say link for learning path. So if you go to this link, you will get the different learning path where you can actually see whether you are a solution architect, whether you want to be an administrator, whether you want to be a developer. Different path have different courses. You can go ahead and few of the courses are free, few of the courses are paid. So depending upon your need, depending upon how you want to proceed, you can start from there. Then we have Dev Essential from Microsoft, which gives you few of the tools free, Visual Studio and other to get started with. Few of the things you get with Dev Essentials are very good resources, like you will get Pluralsight subscription, you will get, different things to start with. For Amazon, we have a certification prep path. You can go to this link and you will be able to at least figure it out how you want to proceed, which one path you want to take, and then depending upon path your learning will start actually from here. We have a very nice resource for Azure in EDX as well. So edx.org is a free website. You can search courses for Azure there, and you will be able to there are very updated courses over there. That's why I mentioned over here. You have Pluralsight. So Pluralsight, again, it is not specific to Microsoft. They have different path as well, like for Microsoft, for Azure or other clouds as well. You have Udemy, and then we have a group that is Azure Talk, and we conduct weekly sessions for Azure. So you can go through the link cloudeasy.com azuretalk.html. This particular link will have lots of sessions, approximately up to 26 or 27 sessions so far we have conducted for Azure. You definitely should go through that, and you can start from there as well. And this is my last in the last I have my websites over there, website link there, and I will be whatever the session I take, I host there as well. So these are the I thought of putting there for starting point, I would say. You can start from here depending upon from where you want to start. If you want to start with Azure, then you can go to the Azure link. You want to start with Amazon, then you can go to the Amazon link. If you want to have across, then either you can go to Udemy or Pluralsight. Both has material for each cloud actually. So that's it. I think this is what I have for today. I think everyone is unmuted, so if you have any question, you can ask. We can wrap it up if you do not have any question.
Yeah, for Ashish, this is Pawan.
Yeah, hi Pawan.
Hi. So for Azure admin, do you have any course materials or something?
Yes. For Azure admin, I will show you. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, so for Azure admin, you can go here in this slide itself. I will be posting the slide link. In the group itself. So if you go to this link,
the first one.
Yep. Let me just copy it over here.
Okay.
So in learning path, you will have one link for Azure administrator. You have Azure stack operator. So solution architect. So if you are an administrator, you can go to the administrator part, and then there are different self-paced labs, self-paced courses. So if you go to the courses, you will have different materials for Pluralsight actually. And then there are a couple of courses in EDX as well. If I will open EDX, so if I will open EDX and if I will search here Azure administrator, on-premise administrator, so Windows Server 2016 Azure for on-premises administrator. So if you are a on-premises administrator right now, so it would be a good starting point at least.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, and then we have a very nice resource over here that we talk about our. Actually, here much of the things you would see are related to administrator only. So if we start from custom domain name, Azure AD, all these things are related to administrators. Azure networking, how networking works, how storage works in Azure. So you can start from you can start exploring these sessions. These are very explained sessions from our community members. So and then you can start posting your queries on the Azure Talk group or Azure DevOps group on the Telegram. You can subscribe there, and then just start from any course and start asking question there, and probably within few days or few months you will be able to pick it up very easily.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Ashish.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, anyone else has any question? Okay, so I think we are done. It was just a starter. I was getting a few calls from different people that how to start with. So I thought of having a slide for this particular starting point itself. We have not discussed anything in specific, but yes, just go through the Azure Talk group and my group and my YouTube link as well, and we are covering a lot of topics in detail as well. So currently we are talking about DevOps. We have a weekly session on DevOps. After that we will be talking a lot about Dockers as well, and then we have session for logic apps, we have session for web apps, and I mean anything related to Azure right now we are covering. So you can if you are talking about Azure, then I will definitely ask you to go through our group links and other other resources. Okay, so I think I'm done for the day. If any of you have any question, you can ask. Else we can wrap it up now.